that you have to listen to your customers no matter what business you're in. This isn't just like a fun consumer app or a game or something that people are just having fun with. Like people are relying their business on your tool. So you have a lot of responsibility. So we are always listening to our customers. That's like the number one thing.
This is the After Brief, except instead of boring bullet points and corporate jargon, you're getting the real stories, strategies, and insider tips that make real businesses grow. We're taking the stuff most people keep off the record and turning the mic on. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the After Brief with Lucky Girls Social. I am so excited with our guest today, Natalie, co-founder of Rella. She is an absolute powerhouse. I am so excited. She traveled on planes, trains, and automobiles to get here. We are so honored, and I think it's so cool that you were recently voted Forbes 30 under 40 with your other co-founders. And I just think you have accomplished so much. And obviously being a female in the tech space isn't the easiest thing. And I just think your story is so, so powerful. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I was so honored to come on this podcast, and I definitely made sure that we would make it here. So
you got here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, I'm so excited. So what brought you to New York?
So we got the Forbes 30 under 30 award, which
Amazing.
We were so excited about. And we decided, we don't, as a startup founder and as a founder, you don't celebrate the wins as often as you should.
Absolutely.
So we decided this is going to be a win that we're going to celebrate. We're going to come to New York even for a very quick trip, and we're all going to do this celebration together. So we just brought the team over to do the event, and then I decided to stay a few extra days, and yeah, now we're here.
We love it. We're so grateful for you winning Forbes 30 under 30 so that you were able to come here. I think it's just such a testament. There are so many tech founders out there who have unsuccessfully tried to do what you've done. And I just think you saw a need. Your story is so incredibly powerful. Can you kind of take us back like a few years for anybody that's listening that's like, oh, I wish I have, Forbes 30 under 30 on my vision board.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get started building a SaaS company?
Yeah, so I am not someone that's technical. So I always say that because I think most people think, oh, well, I don't know how to code or I don't know how to do this, so I can't start that. And I think all you have to do is have an idea, solve a problem, find an audience, and then you can find and build a team around you that can help. So for me, I started as a content creator. So I was a content creator in 2011, which I'm dating myself, but it was the OG beauty guru days. I would film on photo booth and upload and edit on iMovie, upload to YouTube. So that was where I got my start. And then I ended up continuing to do social media throughout high school, college, ended up getting a job after college, quitting that job to do social media full time. And then I started an agency.
Oh, cool.
So I was doing social media management, and I was also doing helping creators one-on-one with their brand deals and their personal brand and just helping them think more like businesses. And this was in around 2018, 2019. So it wasn't as popular to be an influencer. People didn't know you could make a lot of money doing it. And there was still a lot of, well, I'm embarrassed to do this. I don't know. So I really helped a lot of, creators be like, no, you have to start getting into this. This is the audit. Wow. This is what you need to do. And so that's where I got started. And throughout that process, I realized that the tools that were out there for anyone working in social media were really bad. They were just not made for social media content. They were made for more generic SaaS tools. So Notion is great, but you can do a million things with Notion. And sometimes you just want something that's a bit more streamlined for exactly what you need.
Yeah.
So for us, that was social media management. And so, that's how I had the idea for Rella. And then I met my co-founders. We all started building together. And it's just a lot of consistency and not giving up. Yeah, hard work, not giving up, and staying the course.
Yeah. We always talk about how admirable the work is that you do. And I know when you were at Revenue Room, we were like, how many jobs do you have? Yeah. How many hats do you wear? But that's what it takes. It takes being all in on your goals and your dreams, and also not taking no for an answer. And I feel like one of the things that I love about what you've built and what I think is makes it so successful is that you listen to your audience, where in terms of like, it seems like you're always coming out with new features. You're always coming out with new updates. It's not like, I think sometimes people are like, okay, one and done, but like SaaS is never like that. And I think your commitment to just constant like micro improvements is so powerful and what's like led you here.
Thank you. Yeah, I do think that you have to listen to your customers no matter what business you're in, but especially if you're a tool that other people are using for their business, there's a lot more pressure. Like this isn't just like a fun consumer app or a game or something that like, people are just having fun with. Like people are relying their business on your tool. So you have a lot of responsibility. So we are always listening to our customers. That's like the number one thing. And when we were at the revenue room, it was so nice to be able to hear from people that were using us, get people's reactions to the tool that would potentially use us, and just learn from the women that were there and like the people in that room. It was super inspiring and helpful for us.
Yeah, I love that. I don't talk about this, but I was in SaaS before I launched my marketing agency. I feel like that was years and years ago, but that was so important because we were also it was like payment processing and retention systems for different industries, but it's like, people like to run their businesses in different ways, and what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for another person. So how do you create like flexibility within the system and the ecosystem that you're building? I feel like it's so challenging, but as long as like you're obsessed with it, it's really rewarding.
Yeah, and as long as you are so in the know with what your customers want and how what their workflow looks like, I feel like you can figure it out. But that is a challenge where we want to be flexible. We want to be customizable because that's what people want. But then when you give customers too many options and like too many things, it gets confusing and bloated. So there's a balance of being flexible, giving them all the options while still staying true to the product that you've built. And so that's like the balance that we're working on right now.
I love that. I think that's so important. And I totally see that in apps like even like high level. I feel like there's so much flexibility with it that like you can get so lost and you don't know like what's happening, and then simple things can break if you don't really understand it.
Exactly. And that's what we don't want, because social media managers are not tech people. Their role is not to build out these custom workflows and automations. And while, those are great and we want to have some automations, we want to have some workflows within Rella, if it becomes too flexible, then it, like you said, like people don't even know how to do the simple things. So we want to make sure it's still simple and we don't need like this super long onboarding process or anything. And people just know how to use it from the get-go.
Yeah. And I feel like you're a challenge because your audience is kind of split in two, right? It's content creators themselves using Rella for themselves, and then social media managers that are utilizing it to work with clients. And so it not only needs to be seamless and intuitive for a content creator who maybe is a little bit more tech savvy, but also for clients, which sometimes are like, they don't know how to sign into Google Drive.
Exactly. So yeah, the people that are making the content, that's who we're mainly building it for. But we know that on the other end of you making content is people receiving that content.
Yeah.
And if the experience is not good for the receiver, so for the client, let's say, the social media manager or the creator is not going to use us anymore. So that was actually the very first time, because we completely pivoted, we rebranded, we threw away the first product and like rebranded to this and pivoted to this product. And the biggest thing we were trying to solve is, what is the most annoying thing that social media managers deal with? It's honestly the approval process. It's planning your content, sending it to your client. Your client doesn't want to log in. They don't want to download an app. They don't want to have a learning curve. They want to be able to see it on their phone, on their desktop, wherever they are, and then auto posting. Like that workflow, 3-step workflow is what we wanted to solve for from the jump. And so for clients, they just have a link. They don't need to onboard it to anything. You don't need to pay for clients either. You can have unlimited clients and like unlimited social spaces, and your clients just make it easy. Like just make it as easy as possible for them. And we're still getting feedback of like, hey, this would actually make it a lot easier for our clients. Can you do this? And those are things we're planning on implementing. So like we're still improving, but that was the one thing that we wanted to solve.
I think that's so incredible, because that is like every single day we hear like, hey, I can't get my clients to approve this content. Like, should I post it anyways? Or should I wait? Or like, they don't understand how to like leave notes or feedback or whatever. And it's so powerful to streamline that because and when somebody creates content, obviously you're spending a lot of time creating that content. And that content is timely, right? Especially if you're using audio or whatever, like you have to make sure that you're getting that out quickly and seamlessly. Otherwise the clients won't adapt to it.
Exactly. And with clients and social media managers, the relationships between them, even though the social media manager is the one that has multiple clients, like their job is still to make their clients happy.
Absolutely.
So, you have to you have to cater to the person receiving it, even if they're not the main person using the product.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because if I know for our clients, like if they get enough negative backlash or feedback about a platform they're using, they're going to look for another one.
Exactly. Yeah, we've seen it happen. So, and that's when you have to look back and be like, okay, what can we do to prevent this? And we are very obsessed with our customers and always want to improve.
And I also feel like, do you feel like your clients are like almost more invested in your brand because you have that feedback loop and you're like, we really care about your opinion. And they're like, oh my gosh, this brand, like I'm sort of like have a hand in building this brand.
100%. I don't know how other startups, like what their inbox looks like or what their DMs look like, but for us, we have such an engaged community.
Yeah.
Like we have almost 1,000 people now in our Facebook group of paying users, which is great because that's a lot of paying users that care about being invited to a Facebook group. And they're always giving us feedback and suggestions there and connecting with other social media managers. We have our Canny board, which is a place where people can vote on features, request features, and then be notified once it's like in the app. And one of the biggest compliments we get is, oh my God, you guys actually always implement my feedback that I give you. And I'm like, it's because we really genuinely care. Like we are not just saying, oh yeah, we care about our customers and then never listen to them. Like the customers are actually building the roadmap. So they do have a hand in it. And I think we see that reflected in the community when people talk about us, when they post about us, when they tell their friends about us, because I just think nowadays a lot of SaaS companies have gotten really big, which, good for them, but they can lose that, like the ear to their audience, I guess. And so we never want to lose that even as we continue to grow. So that's something that's like our number one pillar is we always want to listen to our customers.
I love that's so powerful. And I think like for our audience, hearing that is, I think a lot of times social media managers, agency owners shy away from feedback because it can feel like, imagine like with you got investors, which I want to talk to you about. You spent so much time, so much energy. It could have been really easy for you to be like, love my baby, say nothing bad about my baby. Like if you don't, like I'm going to be so upset. Instead, you're like, no, like give me all the feedback. And I think you create such a strong partnership with people when you do that. And you don't have to be perfect as a brand or a company. Everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes, and allowing that and not taking it so personally, like somebody's personally attacking your child is so powerful. And I think is what has truly allowed you to be so successful up until this point.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that too many people take feedback as like not constructive criticism. They take it as an insult or, you're damaging my brand or you're attacking me or anything like that. And it's really not. I mean, feedback is the best thing that you can get because most people, and I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm like this, where if I don't like an app, for example, or if I am working with someone and I don't necessarily like vibe with them that well, I'll just quietly leave. Like I will just delete the app. Our time has come. Like let's wrap things up, and I'll just leave. And I've tried to get better at it at actually giving feedback because I know how helpful it is. But when someone gives feedback, there's a million other people or 10 other people or however many other people behind them that felt the same exact thing that just didn't say it. So when someone's actually taking the time to give you feedback, they're taking time out of their day. They're doing it so that you can improve. Sometimes people are mean, whatever, but at the end of the day, the bottom line is they're giving you something that other people feel. And if you don't fix it, more people will continue to feel that way.
Totally.
So you do have to discern between constructive criticism and feedback, which is super helpful, versus people that are just haters and are like, I hate you, this sucks. Like, okay, don't listen to them. But if they're actually giving you something that you can take away from and improve on, I think it's really valuable.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I just think too, like, when you focus on getting, no matter where in your life, you focus on getting 1% better every single day rather than, and I'm sure this is something that you had to deal with, looking at what everybody else around you is doing. Like there's a lot of SaaS companies, there's other scheduling tools, there's larger businesses that you probably came up against. But instead, like when you focus internally of like, okay, no, I don't need to go against the Walmarts, the Laters, the whatever. I just need to focus on being 1% better every single day. I think that makes it so much more manageable and obtainable. And like, I've heard even for weight loss, right? A lot of people are like, I want to lose 50 pounds. And it's like, okay, just start with 1 pound.
Yeah, let's start with just one.
Just 1 pound. So how do you feel like that has, like, did you have imposter syndrome when you were getting started in terms of like, wow, like we're doing this, I'm not that technical, and there are way larger companies out there?
Yeah, it is scary because you're coming in at zero and other companies have already have years and years and years behind them. But I actually always viewed that as an advantage because when other companies are really big, so they have hundreds of people on their team, when they have been around for a long time, a lot of times they are stuck in a routine and they're not as innovative. And I see that with so many companies in the industry. And if you are not always innovating and like being quick and scrappy, then you have there's a chance that you fall behind or someone can come in and kind of take what customers don't like about you. Yeah. And come in and make something better. And so I think that's what we're trying to do. So we're not necessarily like looking at one specific company or anything and being like, we're taking you down. Like that's not what we're thinking at all. But we realize that these companies have made space in the market because they haven't kept up with what people want. They haven't kept up with like all of this change with the social media industry and how many new social media managers are in the space. Mm-hmm. All of these little annoyances, like they really haven't been paying attention to those issues. So why don't we come in and make that easier? And if people want to come, great. So that's kind of the way that we've thought about it. Yeah. I've definitely had imposter syndrome calling myself like a CEO or being a tech founder, like calling myself a tech founder when I'm like, I don't know how to code though. Like, how can I be a tech founder and not know how to code? But at the end of the day, like I'm the founder of a tech product, a tech company. So that makes me a tech founder. So I have more imposter syndrome on those sorts of things, but I actually find more excitement with like, ooh, there's, space in the market and like we can come in and fix this.
Very cool. I love that. I think like, for our audience, for social media managers, a lot of times it's easy to say, like, there's so many other social media managers out there, but like nobody is you. Nobody's going to do it the way that you're going to do it. Nobody's going to be able to understand your client's brand messaging, their voice, their positioning in the same way that you will. And I just feel like there's always room. Yeah. Like whether it's in the tech space, the service space, like there's always room to do something differently from your competitors. Like I don't believe that there's ever a market that's been quote unquote oversaturated.
1,000,000%. I couldn't agree more. And also there is a business for everything. So if you think, I was talking to someone the other day who she does street interviews with like small businesses and founders. And we were asking her like, oh, which one did you do today? She was like, oh, I interviewed this girl that makes cookies for brands. That's her job, is like making cookies for like branded events and for brands. And she earns a full-time living off of that. And there truly is a business for everything. Like and that's so amazing that she's been able to take her passion and her skills and her creativity and do it. And I'm sure that there's other people out there that are thinking like, oh, I love baking, but there's a million bakers out there.
Absolutely.
And it's like, well, maybe you can find a niche or just open a bakery in a place that doesn't have one. Or there's just so much room. And I always think, if you think about music, for example, you will never say, I think we have enough musicians out there. We have enough artists. We have enough songs. Like no one should release music anymore. Let's just cut it.
Our museums are full. We don't need any more painting.
Like, of course, people are still going to be doing that, and we want them to do that. Or restaurants. You're never thinking like, there's enough restaurants in my city. Like, we're always wanting more restaurants and cool new things. Like, people always want something different and something new, and there's way more space than people think. I have been told that social media has been oversaturated since I quit my job. That was in 2019. It's been 6 years now. And people still to this day say, oh, well, so I can't become a creator because it's oversaturated. I've been hearing that for 6 years. And every year there's a new influencer that blows up.
Absolutely.
There's more and more people quitting their jobs to do social media full time. So I just think like you just have to do it slightly differently and stay true to yourself and be consistent. And who's to say you can't do well?
I love. Have you done any research around like the growth that's happening in this industry? Like in terms of, I've seen personally that like the freelancer economy is just going to scale so much over the next 5 years that like there's so much opportunity for individuals where I think a lot of companies are going to start hiring freelancers and agency owners rather than W-2 employees. Like the gig economy is just going to rapidly scale. And I feel like there's so much opportunity in the market, but also for your app, right? Like there's so many people, more people that are going to continue to get into this space.
Yeah, I definitely see that happening. And especially in the age of AI, I feel like AI has wiped a lot of entry level jobs, unfortunately, where if you're just graduating college and you have like a basic skill, those jobs are few and far between now because a lot of companies are like, well, I can save a whole salary and just use AI to do this. And so I think those people are going to say like, okay, well, I can't find a job, so I need to use my skills to start a company. And I think we're going to be seeing a huge wave of agencies, freelancers, solopreneurs, entrepreneurship. Like people are going to start doing their own thing because there's not enough there's not a lot of jobs in the market. And so it's going to force people to become entrepreneurs. And I think that's a positive thing about this. Because I do think a lot of people have such like unique skills, unique talents, unique points of view that it could be used for, entrepreneurship or, having your own schedule or being your own boss or whatever that might look like. And I think that's actually like a good thing. So of course there's like pros and cons of AI, whatever that's a whole other conversation. But I think there is going to be a wave of entrepreneurship because of it.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's so exciting. And I think a lot of times like those entry level jobs that you're saying are going away, like, is that really what you're passionate about? Or did you just fall into that because you went to college and you spent all this money and then you had pressure from your parents to get a normal job, a stable job? And like, I always say like, I feel like entrepreneurship is like the most secure thing you can do because nobody can ever fire you. Nobody can be like, you know what, don't come in today. Like, no, I'm not getting fired. I'm not failing unless I stop trying. And so I think that's like our new form of security. And pensions aren't even a thing anymore. Like how many companies have pensions? Like we're not working for a pension.
Right. I completely agree. I posted a video about this like on Instagram a few months ago. So it's funny that you're saying it because I was saying that when I quit my job, I was working at Accenture. I was working at a consulting firm. And I quit my job 9 months in. I was not there very long. And I remember telling people, oh yeah, I quit my job and I'm doing social media full time. And they were like, wait, what? Like, what are you going to do when that goes away? Like, I got that question so often. What are you going to do when it goes away? And I was just thinking, what are you going to do when you get laid off? Like, your layoff is going to come in an instant in a 15-minute call on your calendar with HR, and you're not going to be expecting it. And then you're done. And like, hopefully they give you like a 2-week notice or whatever, but that's if you're lucky. And then for me, I'm not saying entrepreneurship is like 100%, oh, I'm always going to be making a ton of money, but I can sense when things are dwindling. So if something is like is going not as well, I can sense it. It's not an all at once thing because not all my eggs are in one basket. So it's not like you're fired, you're done. And so, yeah, I can pivot. If I need to, I can start looking for jobs. If that's the direction I want to go in, I can try to find more clients. I can try to do other things, raise my prices. Like there's so many things that you can do to bump it up a little bit more than if you were to just get fired. So I feel more secure working for myself than I do for when I was working for a company.
Absolutely. You're at like the whim of somebody else. Like, you know what? I decided we don't want that department anymore. It's like, oh, okay. I totally resonate with you on that. And I think you mentioned it earlier, right? Like you threw out the first product. So it wasn't like, okay, one and done. And I think about this as like a marketer in terms of funnels. A lot of times people are like, okay, well, I launched a funnel. Okay, but that's like step one. And then there's all these iterations, testing button colors, testing call to actions, testing the headline, like all of those things you can continue tweaking. So it's not just like we launched it and we're done. Same with an app, right? Same with like tech, same with social media management and who you work with and how you work and what your offer is like. And you're constantly reiterating and evolving. I think like the evolution of an entrepreneur personally and professionally is so much faster because we are constantly reiterating and adapting to the data that we're getting from our audience, our clients, the economy, like, and so I totally agree. I feel like it's so much more secure.
Yeah. And I think people will start to see that now that they did the right thing. They went to college, they got a degree, they are applying for jobs. And now if they're having trouble finding it, they are going to resort to hopefully entrepreneurship if that's something that they are passionate about or have a skill in, and then see that, oh, actually, this is like a better life for myself. And not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur, but I think if you have any inkling, any desire, any feeling that, you know, I can do my own thing, I can help people with this skill that I have, I think you should try it.
Yeah. And if you have a full-time job, I feel like do it on the side.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I am not a proponent on just like quitting your job on a whim and doing it. I'm always like, listen, start your side hustle.
Yeah.
Do it on the side. See if you like it.
Yeah, if you like
See
it.
if you want to work in this. And then once you make enough money, then quit your job. Yeah. Don't quit your job right away.
I did the latter. I quit my job and was like, okay,
you
let's
did?
figure it out. But
Or
I
you can do
agree. Like that, I'm a burn your boats girl. I'm like, no, I need to feel the fire because I need to be all in. But I totally agree. Like, it is way more reasonable to do it on the side before getting to that point. And so I think a lot of people like really dislike their jobs for a long time before they're like, you know what? I can't take this anymore. So if you're starting to feel that inkling of like, hey, like there might be more out there for me, or maybe you do love your job and you're still like, yeah, but like I kind of want to like dip my toe into the water, test it out, try it, see if you like it. I think that's so important.
Yeah. And so many people now are working remote jobs where honestly, they're not working that much. Like they have a lot of downtime. They're wiggling their mouse to make sure they're online. Use that as an opportunity to start something else. Like I've been there, like at Accenture, we work from home on Fridays, and that was my day off essentially. Like Fridays was my day off. I would do everything else on the side, and I would just like make sure I was online on the computer. So you can do that too. You can.
If you need any hacks.
Yes.
Can we jump in? I know we don't have that much time left, but I want to talk to you about AI. I know we mentioned it a little bit, but I feel like Ella is really, really cool. And I want to hear like, okay, obviously it's an overwhelming thing to be like, okay, now AI is coming. Like, how do we adapt? How do we adjust? So how you started to like tinker with the idea of adding AI to your platform, and then how you came up with Ella and sort of that storyline.
Ella is amazing, I think. I think it's like the best part about Rella because I do think nowadays you have to be on every platform, or you have to be on a lot of platforms. You have to be putting out a lot of content to capture people's attention. And as hard as it is to post a lot, it's one of those things where you will get ahead if you are more consistently posting.
Yeah.
And so it's overwhelming to come up with new content. You never know what to post. And so what Ella does is she doesn't need a learning curve because you connect your Instagram, your TikTok, your Facebook, like you connect all of your social media accounts to Ella or to Rella, and then you fill out a persona, or you can share it with your clients with just a link. They can fill it out, or you can even copy and paste a prompt that we give you into like an existing AI tool that you're using if it already knows your brand voice, and then just paste it into Ella. So we try to make it, again, easy as possible, eliminate any friction. And then it knows your persona, it knows all of your previous historic data and like what you've posted, what your captions are, what type of videos you like, what length they are, and what's done well and what hasn't. So then it comes up with content ideas that actually are going to perform well because it's based off of your historic data and your brand voice. And it does everything. Like it does the script, it does the caption, it does the hashtags. Wow. It tells you, what angle to do. All you have to do is actually execute and film it. Yeah. But it does all of that. But even beyond content ideas, it can like analyze your analytics and tell you what's working and what's not working and do a full audit. I actually do that every month now. So I do an audit every single month with Ella, and I just talk back and forth to it. Like, okay, but what about this? Or what if we did that? And it's like my social media strategist.
Love.
Yeah, it's so cool. So I think it's like the best part of Rella, and it really helps. And I've even tested it. I've been like, how do you think this video is going to do? And I'll like upload the video. It like watches the video. And it's like, I would give this like a 6 out of 10. Like, I don't think it's going to do that well. And I'm like, whatever, I'm still going to post it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't really do that well. And I'm like, okay, I need to listen to you next time.
I love that. I am so big with like using data to drive your marketing.
Yep.
And I think that is incredible that you could use it as like your social media strategist. Like, okay, help me analyze this data to figure out what I should do more and what I should do less of.
Exactly. Because data is everything. And you need to understand your analytics to know what's working and what's not.
I love that so much. I feel like I could talk to you for literally 3 hours. I would love to at some point have you back on so we can hear more about like the story of how you raised funds for Rella and how, all of those. I feel like there's so much and we're just scratching the surface. But how do you want people to find you? And if you haven't been sold already, obviously Rella's really cool and you guys should definitely check it out. But how can people get in touch with you? How can they ask questions? What's like the best way to contact you?
Yeah, you can find me at Natalie Barbu or getrella.com and then Rella Social on social media.
Amazing.
And I'd love to give your audience a coupon code.
Yes,
we can do Lucky Girl 10 and you'll get 10% off all of the plans. So yeah, Lucky Girl 10 for all the plans.
Yay, thank you so much. I hope you guys found this really valuable and informative, and I hope it inspired you to go after your dreams, whether it seems daunting or not. There is a space for you in the marketplace, and nobody is you, and that's your superpower. So I hope this episode inspired you guys. Thank you so much, Natalie, for coming. I'm just so impressed by everything that you do. Definitely give her and Rella a follow. If you don't like your social media platform, your scheduling platform, check out Rella. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's After Brief. Remember, the luckiest CEOs aren't born, they're built. Now, go make your move, share this with a friend who's ready to win, and I can't wait to see you next time.